And a plane crash near Kansas City, Missouri killed 11 skydivers and their pilot on Sunday. The crash happened just after takeoff as the plane climbed to altitude. CBS News correspondent Lana Zak asked officials with the National Transportation Safety Board about the crash and the way in which the plane landed. Here's the NTSB's response.
We spoke with an eyewitness who said that she was actually on the road next to where the plane crashed, and that at one point the plane was perpendicular to the ground. The belly was facing her car. What does a piece of information like that tell you as you're undergoing your investigation?
Well, that's a good question. At this point, I'm sure our investigators will try to interview that person. I know we've seen a lot of witness statements that the law enforcement picked up, but like I said, it's too early to speculate on aircraft attitude and what that may mean at this time.
Let's go live now to Lana Zak in Butler, Missouri. Lana, what else did investigators reveal?
Well, you can see that it is an active investigation. Just over my shoulder, they have landed there. That is the crash site, and the investigation is currently underway. They're being hampered, though, by a lack of communications in many ways. They said at this point they don't even know if there was a black box on board that plane because of the nature of skydiving and the size of Butler here and their airport. They didn't have an FAA tower that would have been in communication with this flight, and typically a plane like this would only start to radio back to the ground or make contact with the ground when they'd reached altitude for jumping. That's several thousand feet. According to the eyewitnesses here, that plane never really cracked 100 feet. That's how low to the ground it was.
Wow. And Lana, you also spoke to a witness about what they saw. What did they tell you?
Yeah, Bailey Hicks was here on, or sorry, Bailey Reed was here on this road with her young sons. They were driving by and they saw this plane. They stopped just to look at it, and then within a matter of moments, she said, that plane came from 100 feet down to about 30 feet, went perpendicular to the ground here, and then just crashed right in front of them, just a few meters away, really. They felt the impact of it, and it was suddenly engulfed in flames. Here's more of what she had to say.
The ground and trees around it exploded, and it just lit up in flames.
So when people ask why there were no parachutes deployed,
they didn't have time to jump. They were so low to the ground, the parachutes wouldn't have deployed, and there was no way anyone could have jumped and survived that.
And she's a nurse. She felt this instinct to try and go help, but she was there with her young children, and she just knew, because the plane had been incinerated, that there would be no survivors on board. We also spoke with the friend of one of the people who was believed to be on that plane, and he was expressing disbelief and shock. I will note, though, that out of respect for the families, the official names have not been released yet, and so we're not going to do that on our air either.
Such a horrific crash. All right, Lana Zak, thank you so much for that report.